Okay, so I told everybody I was going to start recording behind the scenes of me working and, what I do. Right now, I am working on a download for my website, the Empath's Edge. Right now, I am working on making a downloadable mini workbook for it's called the Empath Mini Workbook, the Empath's Edge, a gentle, accessible guide to understanding your emotional landscape. Screen reader navigation note. This document uses structured headings for easy navigation. Use your screen reader's heading shortcuts to move between actions. So there's that. Let's see here. Um, I don't really know what to say. No. So I've been working on this all day. Like, they say it's easy. You see all these websites or all these ads online. Oh, it's so easy to start your own website. It's so easy to do this and to sell this online and blase, blase, blase. Now, granted, it is easy. It is easy to start. That's where they get you. It's easy to start. It's everything behind the scenes that they failed to mention. Like all the legal things that go on behind the scenes. The stress, the emotional toll, especially somebody who is doing this while dealing with my own emotional toll. You know, um, I suffer from Charles Bonnet Syndrome, and I have chorioretinitis. Sorry about that. It's a difficult one to say. Um, CBS Charles Bonnet Syndrome is something that happens when you suffer a sudden, profound vision loss. Um, now, side note, funny thing is you can be born blind and still suffer from CBS. Weird. I don't understand that. The mind's a powerful thing, is all I can say. Very, very powerful thing. I don't know if any of us will ever completely understand the capabilities of one's own mind. Um, anyways, Charles Bonnet Syndrome, CBS, it's hallucinations, very vivid hallucinations that the person knows are not real, and they have nothing to do with anything psychological. They're not suffering from any mental health issues. Now, granted, some may have mental health issues as well, but the Charles Bonnet Syndrome is not due to a mental health issue. They're not, and because of this, a lot of people don't report that they suffer from Charles Bonnet Syndrome, um, because they don't want to be labeled as psycho, mentally ill, have that stigma, because, that's a hard stigma even now in 2026. That's a hard stigma that people still are uncomfortable with, sadly. And just this past year, I've always suffered with mental health issues. My face. I've always suffered with mental health issues. Post traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder, um, manic depression, uh, schizoaffective disorder. And There's been periods where it's been medicated, tried to be medicated. I've had severe reactions to almost every medication that they ever put me on. So I got tired of feeling like a guinea pig, so I just stopped going. They had me so doped up at some point in the past. This was before I lost my vision, um, because I grew up with perfect eyesight until I was like 38 years old, and I'm 43 now. I'll be 44 in May. No. So, you know, um, I had a lot of reactions to this medicines. Um, they had me so doped up. There were times where, I'm sorry, I think when I get nervous, my nose itches because every time I'm on camera, I'll be scratching at my nose. And I think it's a nervous thing because this is new to me. I'm not much of a video attention person. I'm a trauma survivor, sexual abuse trauma survivor, and I've had some stalkers, so I don't do very well with drawing attention to myself. Anyways, another side note, I have a tendency to go off topic. I apologize. Anyways, so in the past, I've had a lot of medications, and I've had a lot of reactions to these medications. There were times where I was pouring cereal for my kids and be so doped up on this medication that I don't realize I'm not even pouring the cereal in the bowl, completely missing the bowl. Um, that was just because I was on a very high dose of um, lithium at the time. But I've had dystonic reactions where every muscle in your body pulls to one side. It's like one giant Charlie, uh, uh, Charlie horse, like a one giant Charlie horse in your whole entire body, and it just pulls to one side. And that was horrible feeling by itself alone. It just so happens that mine happened to happen to me, because everything's got to happen at the most inconvenient times. And, you know, so mine just happened to be out in public when my children were younger. They're all grown adults now, but when my children were younger, and they were in softball and baseball, and it just happened to be that that day, all four of them had games, and we were at the ball field all day long. And I'm laying on the bleacher the whole time, like, can't move. My ex-husband's telling everybody that it was because I was on drugs, yada, yada, yada. Finally, after all day and everything said and done, and everybody's gone pretty much, his sister finally called an ambulance for me. Thank God. But that was horrible. That was the most horrible reaction I'd ever had. Um, and I just got tired of feeling like a guinea pig, so I just stopped going. And then I started running the streets. Um, Once my children got older, I started running the streets and getting high and, you know, living that dream. Gang, gang. Um, and of course, the drugs didn't make the mental health issues any better. I've been hospitalized for my mental health issues multiple times in multiple hospitals. Um, Now, fast forward 20 something years. This is I'm out of my second prison number. Um, I've been out since May 6th of 2024. Yeah, 2024 was my release date. That was my second time being in prison. My first time was in 2004, 2005, I want to say. So a long time ago. Now, since in between there, about 5 years ago, I started losing my eyesight in my left eye. I woke up one day and it was just really foggy, like I had sleep over my eyes. And at the time I was on Fetty and I was on meth, and I just figured, well, it just kept happening. And, you know, it caused a lot of problems in the relationship I was having at the time. As if I didn't have enough problems, drugs, that's enough problems as it is. But that's not why I'm here. It's not why we're having this conversation right now. Um, but I started losing my eyesight and it started getting painful, very painful. It actually was extremely painful, worst pain I've ever been through. And I gave birth to 3 of my kids naturally with no pain medicine. Um, because I didn't know it at the time, but what was happening was my retina was detaching from my brain. I don't wish that on my worst enemy. Now, my way to cope with this was just to stay doped up, you know, just the pain medication from the fentanyl helped. I'm not condoning it. I'm just giving my life experience and what I did and how I got to where I'm at now, why we're here now. So please, I'm not condoning any of what I'm saying. Please do not go do drugs. Don't do any of that, especially fentanyl, because too many people are dying. So please don't take this the wrong way. That's not what I'm saying at all. I do not condone that. Now, with that being said, I would just stay, and then I would feed Benadryl on top of it. It's a wonder I didn't overdose and die, to be honest with you. But I just stay knocked out because it hurt. It was painful, and everything made it hurt. If the sun was too bright, it would hurt. If and at the time it was wintertime, in the house that I lived in had a wood burning stove. So if somebody was starting the stove, or the smoke or something like that would hit my eye, it would hurt so bad, like everything hurt it. And you know I'm a writer, and I'm a very visual person. I like to learn. And when I was growing up, the most god awful thing that I could ever think that I never wanted to deal with, something that was just unimaginable, unfathomable to me, was going blind. That was the one thing in my life I never wanted to deal with. And so, I'm living my worst nightmare. And at the time, nobody believed me. And, at one point, my ex said, "Why don't you just stop being a fake bitch already and stop lying about it?" Well, if I was lying, obviously it wasn't getting me nowhere because we were just arguing. And, so, a couple years go down the road, and here I am, obviously. Um, this past year, since I've been out of prison, I've been taking things a lot more serious, and about my health and about my future, because I'm genuinely trying to change my life. I've been sober for the last 2 years. June 22nd will be my 2-year mark of this year. And I haven't been in any trouble. No. With that being said, I pretty much live my life like I'm on death row. I don't leave my house. Now that's because of trauma. I'm still having a hard time coping with the fact that I'm blind. And it's not the blindness, it's the cause behind the blindness, the reason why I'm blind, um, the trauma that the blindness stems from is what I have a hard time coping with. Um, and so I'm still in survival mode. I'm in street mode. I'm in fight or flight mode, and I can't see danger coming at me. And I don't leave my house. I isolate myself bad. Now back to Charles Bonnet Syndrome. Now my diagnosis now. I've been to the eye doctor this last year, and I have no light perception in my left eye. Um, Basically, my iris, the coloring of your eye, and my pupil, the black part of your eye, they're not connected. It's like a cone. So there's a space in between. Well, mine has pretty much melted together, kind of like a Fruit Loop and a Skittle. The Skittle's on the bottom and the Fruit Loop sitting on top, and there's a space in between. Well, my Fruit Loop and my Skittle melted together. So, therefore, that causes no light perception. So, I have no light perception in my left eye. No depth perception. I can't tell how far away something is. I can't tell if something changes. I've walked off in traffic almost. I've walked off porches. I've hit my face with car doors. I hit myself in the face and the eye regularly. Glasses don't help. They just hinder me more and give me more blind spots. Now, so I went to the eye doctor again, and I was hoping, it was just my mind going crazy on me. And I wasn't really losing my eyesight in my right eye too, but I am. I only have 20/40 acuity, but that's if I'm just moving things around. But I only see out of the right side of the top side of the right side of my right eye. So this little section is about all the eyesight that I have. So I have no peripheral vision. Now, Charles Bonnet Syndrome is what is crippling me. Because there's days I forget that I'm blind. For real, like I do. If I didn't have to explain it to people or things like that, I forget that I'm blind. Um, Funny things, I do. But stress triggers the Charles Bonnet Syndrome. Low light triggers Charles Bonnet Syndrome. Isolation triggers Charles Bonnet Syndrome. My best friend is a flashlight. I have a lot of flashlights. But my hallucinations manifest as cockroaches. Yeah, the filthy little things. hmm Now, even though I know they're not real, it can be crippling. There's times where I've been cooking food, and in my mind, I see cockroaches in the pot of food that I'm cooking. Now, my mind's already registered that this pot of food has cockroaches in it, so therefore, even though if someone else in the house is telling me that they're not in there, I'm not going to eat that because my mind's already registered it, so the damage is already done. So I'm dumping whole pots of food out. It got to the point where I wasn't eating anything unless it was prepackaged already. There's times where I think there's a cockroach in my drink and it's a bubble. In the middle of the night, I want to tear my room apart because I could have swore I just seen a cockroach and I'm trying to find it. Now, mind you, I thought I seen it out of the left side of my eye, my left eye. I have to tell myself, Natalie, you can't even see out of your left eye. Obviously, there wasn't nothing there. But then I'm like this all night, thinking that I see something. Now, I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the Oric commercial where the cockroach would crawl across the screen of the TV. Yeah, that's what I think about. I have to laugh about it. I do. It's really not funny. Whoever creates this universe thinks they have a sense of humor, but I don't find it funny. So, I don't use no assistive devices. I don't use an e-reader. I don't use Braille. I actually need to learn how to read that just in case I do go blind. Because my doctor can't tell me if I'm going to ever completely lose my eyesight. But it definitely is not going to get any better. And it just so happens that, the chorionitis instigated the cataracts in my right eye as well. Thank you, Mother Nature. Thank you, biology. Thank you. Thank you. Mic drop. Anyways, so anything that I create is always for any device for blind, deaf, low vision, and dyslexia. Um, I have a book that is called Infestation and Clarity, The Invisible War on KDP. And I have a poetry series it's a 9-part series called The Palace of the False Sun. I have also created a couple apps, all compatible with any e-reader, any device. Any device. I want to bring Charles Bonnet Syndrome to light. It is very untalked about. And I suffer with it every day, and everything I develop with just my eyes. I don't use anything else. I have my white cane. I haven't learned how to use it yet, though. But that's all I have. Now, I've had to find the silver lining in this. Just take all the small things that I can get. Because if not, it's going to break me. And I'll be damned if life kicks my ass now. That's for sure. I'm a Taurus. I ain't giving up, baby. Never. Anyways. So, I forgot what I was going to say. So, I created some blogs. And I started writing to help myself. And just posting it on Facebook. And people resonated with it. And understood it. And I got people reaching out. And it felt good. So, in turn, me helping myself, helping other people, and it's really been amazing. And I want to start this journey, and I think I'm going to vlog about it, and I'm going to write about it. And I've got the 4 different blogs on my website connected to it. But right now what I'm doing is I'm making a little ebook, downloadable, free, on my website. Yep, it's mini e let me restart that. It's a mini empath workbook. Yes. So that's going to be available here very shortly. Yeah. So stay with me on this journey. Watch my face heal. My nerves got the better of me the other day. Yeah.